Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to do the entry of COVID-19 case investigations using the investigation quick entry screen and continuing on and entering contact investigations through the exposures functionality. The starting point for this video is that the surveillance unit has already entered the lab information for this client and created the investigation. So as you can see, this workflow is going to start by finding the client, your source case client, and putting them into context. You can do that by entering the client's 9-digit health card number and searching. After you click the update button, it takes you to the client demographics screen as you see here. Scroll down and just double check your client information and check the address to make sure that the client's address is the most recent, and you can follow QRC's 1.3 or 7.1A Part 2 to add an MHSU address if needed. And then we're going to navigate over to start the workflow from the subject summary screen. So under the investigation title on the left-hand navigation menu, choose subject summary. Scroll down to the outbreak response encounter group. And here you'll find your COVID-19 investigation. To put it into context, near the top left, click the hyperlink of the investigation ID number. This will put the investigation into context and take you to the investigation summary screen. From here, you want to get to the quick entry. So you can just go ahead and click that hyperlink on the left-hand navigation menu, investigation quick entry. Here you can see the application has loaded the investigation quick entry screen. So you can scroll down and you can see the disease details that were entered by the surveillance unit. And what you're going to want to do is navigate to the investigation information screen to update the disposition and date and the client address at time of initial investigation. To quickly get there, just click the hyperlink here off to the right. And now you can change the disposition to the next appropriate value. I'm going to say follow-up performed by region. I'm going to leave the date as today. And then I'm going to select the correct address and click save. Here you'll want to go back to the quick entry where everything can be entered at once. So click the hyperlink on the left-hand navigation menu. You can see that the information you just entered is now reflected on this screen. If you know the staging, you can select it. Then scroll down to the client, through the client details section. And if you know it, you can enter the Indigenous identity and First Nation status, if applicable. And then keep going down to signs and symptoms. Here you can select the checkbox beside the signs and symptoms that have been identified by the client, and you can select multiple. And then if you want to set the response for all of them to yes, just click the set response button. And you can set the date for them as well. If they have different dates, you'll have to do them individually, but if all the symptoms start on the same date, you can go ahead and enter that here, then click the apply button. Now, if you want to select the checkbox beside the onset symptom, go ahead and select the checkbox beside the onset symptom and then click the save button. Now we're going to scroll down to the risk factors section. And here you can select the checkbox beside the risk factors identified by the client, and you can select multiple. Here I'm going to enter the response of yes. If the additional information box opens up, specify the information asked for. And then you can enter the date range of exposure. Then you can click the Save button. I like to click Save more often than others. Now you're going to get a message that the investigation was successfully updated, but there's still more to enter. So scroll up to the Interventions panel. So that's a little closer to the top. Here, you're going to click the checkbox beside the interventions that you want to associate with the client. And then select the outcome and select the disposition. And then you can change or accept the start date. And then you can click the Save button, and you can repeat that and select additional interventions if more than one is applicable. So next, we're going to start entering any contacts that might be associated with the case. So to do this, we want to scroll down to the transmission event section at the bottom. So it's past signs and symptoms, past risk factors. You come to exposure summary section. Click the transmission event quick entry hyperlink. Here you're going to enter the exposure name. And click the transmission, enter a start date and an end date if provided. And then you can enter a location name if specified. You can select the applicable setting type and setting. In the case of household exposure, setting remains blank. Then down at the bottom right, you can click the Add button. Then make sure you scroll down and click the Save button, and you're going to get a message that the transmission event was successfully saved. Now we're going to start entering the contacts. So you want to scroll down and go into the details of the transmission event. So to do that, click the hyperlink of the TEID in the table. And this takes you to the Maintain Transmission Event Details page. And you just want to go down to the Known Contact Search section. So you can expand that by clicking the hyperlink beside the arrows. And then you want to select the Client Radio button. And here, clicking Search will take us to the Client Search screen. So now you're going to want to search for the client that you want to link as a contact. So I'm going to search for them by name. And you could also enter PIN or whatever other search information is appropriate. So here's my contact. I'm going to select the checkbox to the left and then click Select and Return. This takes us back to the Known Contacts section. And then now what we need to do is create the contact investigation. So for this, you click the, you can see I've brought them back. I'm in the cases record right now and I've brought dishcloth back. Click the Add button and it takes us to the Create Investigation page. This is creating the contact investigation for the contact. That's who you can see is in context there. And some of the information has been defaulted from the source case investigation. So scroll down to the investigation information panel and select an appropriate response from the disposition pending drop list. Then make sure the responsible organization and work group is appropriate and the date. And then come down and choose Other in the Reporting Notifications section and type in Surveillance Form. And then you can also select it from the type of reporting source drop list. Then when you click Submit, this is going to create the contact investigation and link it to your source case. So the system has now taken us back to the source case record. So you can see we have our case in context on the Maintain Transmission Event Details screen with a successful message that an investigation has been created. And in the middle of the page, you can see that there's the acquisition event for our contact. If you have any additional contacts to add, you can repeat that process in the known contact search, but do be sure to refer to the QRC in the event that the contact you are trying to link already has an investigation. And that is the end of the workflow. After you've linked, just make sure that you come down to the bottom and hit save.